internet. Today I'm going to be doing my May and June book haul. So if you follow me and you've been following me since kind of the beginning of the year, you know that one of my New Year's resolutions was to only try and buy 5 books a month, and I have failed miserably at that every single month. In May, I did so good. I only bought 6 books, and I was like, yes, I'm finally getting into that mindset. I'm over the book buying thing. And then in June, I bought 13 books. So clearly that didn't last long. But I'm really excited about all the books that I did buy, so at least there's that. Whatever. I'm just gonna get into the book haul. So we'll start with May, and like every other person in May, the first thing I did was I went and bought A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas, which is the 3rd book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. This is like the conclusion to this storyline, and the rest of the books are going to be like companions. I don't really know how that's going to work yet. I still haven't read this. I feel like I'm one of the few people left that hasn't read it yet. I just haven't had time to devote to it because it's like 700 pages, but I'm really looking forward to reading it. I've heard some kind of mixed things. Most people have been saying that it's not as good as A Court of Mist and Fury, which I'm not really expecting it to be. So I'm hoping maybe if I go in with kind of low expectations, maybe I will enjoy it. So I'm going to get to this at some point, hopefully by the end of this month. Next, I bought Wires and Nerve by Marissa Meyer, which is the like graphic novel series that happens after the Lunar Chronicles series by Marissa Meyer. This is the first one, and I believe as of right now there's going to be 2. The other one comes out next year. And this follows Aiko, which is Cinder's android, and it was pretty good. I really liked the art style. It all kind of had like a bluish tint to it, which I thought was really interesting, and I enjoyed getting to see kind of what these characters are supposed to look like. Of course, what I imagine in my head is always how I'm going to imagine them, but I also really enjoyed this take on it because all of the old characters kind of come back. But definitely don't read this unless you've already read Winter. Clearly I've already read it. I really enjoyed it, but I'll talk about it more in my June wrap-up. Next, I got a couple of books from Book Outlet because I was buying some books on there for my mom for Mother's Day, and I added on a couple books for myself so I could get the free shipping, and also books. So the first one is Summer Days and Summer Nights, which is an anthology edited by Stephanie Perkins, and I really enjoyed My True Love Gave to Me, which is another anthology that was edited by her. It kind of has the same kind of thing going where it's a bunch of YA authors putting in short stories, so I think I'm going to really enjoy this. I'm hoping to read it before the end of the summer because I think I'm going to really enjoy it. I think it'll work really well for a readathon. I'm hoping maybe it will work for one of the challenges for Biannual Biblathon or Booktube-a-thon, but they haven't released the challenges yet, so I don't know. Also on Book Outlet, I picked up Hollow City by Ransom Riggs, which is the 2nd book in the Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children trilogy. I've been making my way through this trilogy. I've read this one. I've got the audiobook checked out for the 3rd one. I just haven't started it yet because I'm listening to a different one, but this series is really, really interesting so far. It's very intriguing and different and unique, and I thoroughly enjoyed the 2nd book. I didn't like it as much as the 1st one, but I still really enjoyed it. So again, I'll talk about it more during my June wrap-up. Next, I have a book that I have been eyeing at the bookstore for a really, really long time, and everybody talks about it, and I really want to read it, and I found it at Target for $6, so I finally decided to just get it. And that book is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, and this is supposed to be like a historical fiction during World War II kind of book, and it's a lot of people's favorite book. I'm trying to kind of get more into historical fiction, so I think this would be a great one for me to read, and like I said, I found it for $6 at Target, so I just finally decided to pick it up. I've been wanting to read it for a really long time, so I'm hoping to read it soon. And the last book that I got in May was When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon, and this is a new YA contemporary that has been getting a lot of buzz about 2 Indian American teenagers whose parents are trying to like set them up in an arranged marriage or something, and I think it takes place at some kind of like science-y STEM camp or something. I'm not totally sure, but I've heard really, really great things about it. I actually went to the author signing here in Nashville, and so I got this signed, and the author was just really sweet and adorable, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. I definitely want to read it before summer's over because it just sounds like it's going to be the perfect summer book. And guys, that's all I bought in May. I did so good, and then June happened, and it just went downhill from there. But one of the reasons I bought so many books in June is because my mom came to see me, and she brought a lot of books from her sister that we went to my used bookstore here in McKay's and sold and then I got books with that money. I think only one of the 6 that I got at McKay's I actually didn't use the credit on, so I don't really regret it. The first one is one that, again, I've been wanting to read for a while, and I found a copy cheap, so I decided to buy it. And that is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Again, this is supposed to be a lot of people's favorite book, and I really want to read it and understand why it's everyone's favorite book. I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, so I am really looking forward to reading this soon. I also picked up a hardcover copy of The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, and I mean, I read this a long time ago. I read it multiple times, but of all of my copies of the books in the trilogy, The Hunger Games was the only one that I had in paperback, and I saw this hardcover copy and it was 25 cents. So I bought it, so that way my books will all be hardback. Good decision, right? Next, I've got a graphic novel that I have been searching and searching for, and I never can find it. Even Amazon doesn't have it anymore. I found it at McKay's, and that is Once Upon a Time Out of the Past by Kalinda Marie Vasquez, Corinna Becco, and Janet K. Lee. And I've read the other Once Upon a Time graphic novel, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I've really been wanting to read this one, and like I said, I've had a hard time finding it, and I finally found it. And graphic novels aren't cheap either, so used bookstore is a good place to get graphic novels because they're at least a little cheaper. But I'm really looking forward to reading this. This is going to be great for a readathon. I also picked up another graphic novel that I've had my eye on, and that is March Book 1 by John Lewis, Andrew Aiden, and Nate Powell. And I think this is supposed to be about like the civil rights movement. John Lewis was a congressman, and I think this is supposed to be like his story of the time during the civil rights movement. I want to say there's 3 in this series, so I'm really looking forward to reading these. I also picked up The Girls by Emma Cline. This book is supposed to be about, I think, a girl who joins a cult in like the 60s or something. It really reminds me of like Charles Manson and all that stuff. That's kind of how it's sounding to me. I've heard mostly good things about it. It's an adult like thriller novel, I think. I've been wanting to read it for a while, so I'm glad that I finally have a copy of it so I can read it eventually. And the last book that I got at McKay's was Ever the Hunted by Erin Summerall. This is a YA fantasy that came out, I think, at the end of last year, about a girl whose like father is killed or something, and so the girl is trying to get her revenge or something like that. This cover is beautiful, for one, but I mean, I love YA fantasy, and I think the second book in this series, I guess, is coming out sometime later this year, so I have the first book now that I can read it before the sequel comes out. So then I stumbled across this like amazing bargain store that has a ton of different things in my town that I didn't even know was there, and one of the things they had was books, and I got 2 books literally for $4 a piece, and this was such a good deal that I couldn't pass it up. So the first one is The Silkworm by Robert Galbraith or J.K. Rowling, and this is the sequel to The Cuckoo's Calling, which is a book that is on my top 10 to read in 2017 list, so I have to read the first book this year. And this is the giant hardcover. This book is normally $28, and I got it for $3.99, so I have no regrets. I also picked up a book that I have had my eye on, and that book is this beautiful World Cloud Classics edition of Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I read Peter Pan several years ago, but I had a really ugly edition of it, so I unhauled it because I wanted to buy this edition. And the thing about Word Cloud Classics is a lot of bookstores sell them, but they'll only have certain titles, so it's kind of more fun to just like happen upon a book that I'm looking for, at least it is for me. And they had this at that store for $3.99, and these books are normally $15 a piece, so I was really excited to have this edition. I love the Word Cloud Classics. I'm kind of obsessed with them, and I love the end papers for this one. So pretty. So I'm so glad that I have this edition of Peter Pan now. Next, after I finished Hollow City, I went ahead and ordered Library of Souls on Amazon by Ransom Riggs. This is the third and final novel in the Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children trilogy, and like I said earlier, I'm going to be starting this one on audiobook soon, and so I'm going to go ahead and have a physical copy so I can look through the pictures kind of as I listen to it, and then track what page I'm on. So, yay. Next, I went to my favorite bookstore, Parnassus, because they were having an event and Victoria Schwab was going to be there for our dark duet, and I had to work the day of the event, but I discovered that if you pre-order a book by an author that's going to be at Parnassus, your pre-order will be signed. So I asked them if they could sign it and have it personalized for me, and they did. And then I just went and picked it up the next day, and I was so excited. Victoria even drew like a little cat right here, and it's adorable, and I am so excited to read this. Okay, the angle might be slightly different, but my camera died, and I've got to hurry up and do this before it dies again because I need to go to work, so I don't have time to let it charge anymore. But anyway, what I was saying is Our Dark Duet is the sequel to The Savage Song by Victoria Schwab, and it's a duology. I read The Savage Song this month, and I really, really loved it, so I cannot wait to dive into this one. While I was at Parnassus, since they have a lot of other signed books there, I went ahead and picked up some of the books that I've been wanting to buy that were signed since I was there. So the first one is Flame in the Mist by Renee Ahdieh, and this is, I think, a new series by her, and it's very similar to Mulan, and then I think the main character disguises herself as a boy to fight in the war, but it is not a Mulan retelling because it's based on Japanese folklore, at least that's what I've been told. So I'm really looking forward to reading this, and hopefully I will get to it soon. I also picked up How to Make a Wish by Ashley Herring Blake. This book is about a girl who's bisexual, and I think she has some family issues or something. I'm not totally sure on what the plot of this one is, but I kind of want to go into it blind. I have heard really great things as far as the rep goes, which is one of the reasons why I was interested, since I'm trying to read more diversely, and I think this might be on Voices. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm really looking forward to reading this nonetheless. And the last book is the one that I'm most excited about. I've been waiting on this book to arrive so I could film this book haul, because I figure if I go ahead and film my book haul, I won't buy any more books this month, and I need to not do that. But this is something I'm so excited about, and it is the 20th anniversary edition of The Philosopher's Stone. They made 4 hardcovers for each of the Hogwarts houses, and I got the Gryffindor one, and it's beautiful. The end pages look like the scarf, and it's just the most beautiful thing. Nearly Headless Nick is on the back, and I think all the house ghosts are on the back. And there's like extra stuff about each house inside, like introduction to Gryffindor and about the ghosts and all of the stuff. And they also made paperback versions where all 4 books are like the color of the Hogwarts house, but I really wanted the hardcover edition. And I just am obsessed with this book. It's so beautiful, and I'm just so excited that I own this. And I got it from Book Depository, by the way, because they do free shipping worldwide, and this is a UK book. So if you want one, go hit up Book Depository. This isn't sponsored or anything. I'm just letting you know that's where I got it. And that's it for my book haul. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these and what you thought of them. Of course, keeping those thoughts spoiler free. And that will be it for this video, and I will see you guys next time with another one.